something about, when you're trading your time for money, there's a finite amount of time, so there's a finite amount of money. And if you're salaried, then you're never going to, you can invest it wisely and do all these other things and, plan for your retirement and all those other things, man. But something about putting in a vacation request form, like I asking to go on vacation was, I think, the straw that broke the camel's back for me, man.
You are now listening to the Your First Steps podcast. It's great to talk about $1 million dreams, but where do we start? How do we get there? Listen up as you hear directly from real estate industry leaders on how they reach success in their fields. And most importantly, what were their first steps? Let's get this party started. Here's your host, Eli the Real Estate Guy.
Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Eli, the Real Estate Guy, and thank you all so much for watching another video on our podcast, which is called the Your First Steps podcast. And when you're talking about real estate investing, operations management, property management, philanthropist, and just overall, this great guy, I'm super excited to have our guest today. That is Odis James. Odis, how you doing today, man?
What's up, man? I appreciate you allowing me to be involved, man. You're a good dude in my book.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man. So before we get started, for the people that may not know you or the things that you've done, kind of give like a brief intro of who you are and some of the things that you've done.
Yeah, so I grew up in real estate. My father's been in real estate for about 48 years. He's been a broker for 48 years. We partnered on some things. So, 3 years old, I was going with him. That was our time together, going to real estate meetings. Gotcha. Was a licensed real estate broker, or I'm a licensed real estate broker now. I've been licensed in real estate since 2002. I have a multifamily background industry. So I was operating for one of the largest multifamily operators in the world, really here in the Bay Area. I was overseeing $600 million in multifamily real estate. It's about 2,700 units. I had a mortgage company. My father and I started a mortgage company that ran for about 10 years, Mortgage of the Rock. We had a brokerage company. I'm a licensed broker in California, Georgia, pending in South Carolina, and I may do North Carolina next. So I'm well versed on the lending side. I've done some non-real estate entrepreneurial stuff. I utilize an outsourcing business model, and my last company grossed 7 figures for the few years that it was around. I'm licensed in life insurance. I don't sell it. I just so I can speak intelligently about it. And there's probably a few more things that sound a lot more impressive on paper than real life. So,
Gotcha. So I'm kind of curious, the non-real estate businesses that you had, what were some of those non-real estate things that you were doing?
I can't say because there's a conflict of interest situation there, but basically, I'll tell you this. The business model that I use is I already had the demand. So I went and found somebody else that was doing something, but on a much smaller scale. And I just hired them, rebranded it, and then marked the price up 40%.
Nice.
So I didn't have to have any of the equipment. I didn't have to have any employees. It was just me. And just writing checks and receiving checks on that thing.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay. I'll take it. So
I'll tell you about it offline. I'll tell you exactly.
Okay, gotcha. I was like, you've been very vague on some things. Like, yeah, I did some things. I wrote some checks, and bada bing, bada boom. It's like, okay, yeah. Cool. So just to kind of let people know about how I met Odis and how I found out about him. So this started off. I'd say I first got on Clubhouse. This was 2020, I believe. So late 2020. And my wife was telling me, oh, there's this new app. It's great to get on. And at first I'm like, okay, well, I don't really care to go on, another thing. Like there's already Facebook, there's already Twitter, which I barely go on. There's already Instagram, and I barely, went on that. And she's like, oh no, there's an app to where you talk to people. And it's like, well, who are these people? Who am I talking to? And at first I was really hesitant on doing it. But then one day I saw her in a room with some other women, and I forgot the name of the group that they were in, but I heard the conversations that they were having. I'm like, oh, so this isn't just people going on and kind of wasting time and just being, weird or whatever. It's actually like a meaningful conversation that's going on. And so, especially within the real estate space, I just remember seeing Odis in a few rooms and him just really digging into different things that he's done and just really answering questions and really being value first. And so that's where I met Odis, and that's why I love everything that he's doing. I love the information that he provides. But we're going to get to Clubhouse and the mentorship and all that stuff. But first, I want to go back to your childhood and know, what was it like in the James household? Like, what was it like growing up? Where are you from, and what was that experience like growing up as a kid?
Yeah, so I'm from my parents is old school, right? They're from Hunters Point Projects, San Francisco. So they moved down. I was just a baby when I was born in San Jose, California, and it was they were working, man. Like, we were often one of the only black families in the neighborhoods that we were in, and my dad worked a lot, real estate, because when you're in real estate, you're on everybody else's time, right? So he worked a lot, and we hung out by me just going with him to work meetings. All right, so 3, 4, 5 years old. Back then, man, old people was like 35 years old was old to me, right?
Absolutely.
But old people could talk forever, man, and we'd be in some of these meetings for 3 and 4 hours, and all of that real estate talk just got embedded, into my let's call it my intellectual storehouse, right? So by 10, 11 years old, man, I could talk real estate with the average adult. Right. And, I was just a regular kid, finding yourself. And then ultimately you gravitate towards what you've been exposed to. And there was just a certain prestige back then with real estate professionals, and just a certain integrity that came about with it. And I was just attracted to that. So I got in it, man. I tried to work, I was in corporate America for a while. Nothing against corporate America. I just, and I did well in it. But something about, when you're trading your time for money, there's a finite amount of time. So there's a finite amount of money. And if you're salaried, then you're never going to, you can invest it wisely and do all these other things and, plan for your retirement and all those other things, man. But something about putting in a vacation request form, like asking to go on vacation, was, I think, the straw that broke the camel's back for me, man. And I've always done my own thing as a kid, right? As soon as I can get out of the house, I'm out with my friends. We playing in the creek. We riding bikes. We doing all types of terrorism throughout the neighborhood, right? Okay. So I've been accustomed, man, to just doing things by myself, and I've always been, I'm not going to say a loner, because I've always been, kind of an extrovert. But, there was certain entrepreneurial qualities that were developing before I even knew they were developing. And I've always been curious about stuff. So that's pretty much it, man. And outside of that, I got in the same trouble as everybody else was getting in as a kid. But, I got good parents, man. My parents been together 50 years. Nice. 50 nice. Something years or something like that. They're 35 minutes from here. Nice. They're the proudest people in the world, man. There you go.
So as far as some of the entrepreneurial traits that you had as a kid, what were some of those things that you were picking up that you didn't know, but you just kind of picked up over time and it helped you later on in life?
I always thought I could do things better than everybody else, whether I actually could or couldn't. I just felt like I could do things better than everybody else, especially, I've always wanted to go kind of my own direction. I don't know, man. It's just something about, I don't know where it came from, but if I see somebody doing it, I go in there, I know I can do it better. And there's just been an enormous amount of confidence that's, kind of built up over time. Now I get, I'm not saying I don't ever get nervous when going into a new situation, but man, my dad used to tell me how great I was all the time. And then he would tell other people how great I was all the time. So by the time I'm getting older, man, I'm sitting in operation meetings with, Harvard grads, Stanford grads, professionals that worked out the White House. And here I am with, almost enough credits to graduate from junior college.
Nice.
And I feel like I'm just running it, man. I'm genuinely feeling like these people, I will drag these people through the mud in an apples for apples situation. So,
Very nice.
be careful what you tell your kids, man, because eventually they're going to believe it, whether it's positive or negative.
And that's something I wanted to touch on. I definitely could say, just from speaking to different people and different successes that they had in life or different struggles that they had in life, a lot of it comes from their parents telling them you can do whatever you want, or the ones that didn't do as much as they wanted to do. It came from them always being told, and just from conversation, me hearing, oh, there's a ceiling because you got to work twice as hard because the man and this and that. But I do think it is important, like you're saying, to always tell your kids that there isn't a cap based on the external. The cap is yourself. And
Right.
as long as you're able to, as long as you have it inside yourself to work hard and get to that next level, you're what's going to determine what your next success level is. So I love that your
Absolutely.
parents did that.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate. I will say that.
There you go. And going into your teenage years, what are some jobs that you had, or if you did have jobs at the beginning, how did that go about?
Man, 15 years old, I had the hardest job I ever had was working in the hamburger. There's this place called Raging Waters, which is a water slide park, and I worked in the hamburger shop.
Okay.
And man, till this day was the hardest work I ever had, man.
Gotcha.
And I had jobs like working at the Foot Locker, and those jobs just so I can get discounts because I'm always trying to. As a kid, you got to be on your fly stuff, right? So,
Exactly.
I need my clothes and shoes and the car and all that stuff. But man, they were just jobs, right? They were just, and I didn't really appreciate them. I was always wanting to take the path of least resistance.
Uh-huh.
So I wasn't really that hard of a worker, man. I was there for, whatever money I needed to do what I needed to do at the time. So and then I went in the Navy, at 19 years old. With the Navy, that structure didn't work out very well. I did about three years and 2 months, and then the Navy and I both agreed that I was not Navy material.
Gotcha. Okay. So was it just basically your eye was on the prize of another prize, basically, and you're like, hey, I'm just here so I won't get fined, basically, or what was the deal?
Man, I was walking through the base one time, and I saw this huge house. Right, it was the base commander. He was an admiral. And, I was like, wow, that is dope. I want to live in a house like that. So I went back, man, and I researched how long it would take me to be an admiral, if I was even good at being in the Navy, right?
Right.
And it was something like 25 to 35 years. It could be anywhere in there. And I'm like, I don't have that kind of time. Because I think at the time it was like he made like $150,000 a year or something like that. Plus the house was free and everything was paid and all that stuff. And I'm like, I'm not doing that, man. I'm trying to do that while I'm young.
Exactly.
So, man, I was politely escorted out of the Navy.
Gotcha. All right.
And at this point, it wasn't even for one particular reason. It was like
Gotcha.
a bunch of little stuff had piled up.
It was like, let's agree to disagree on you being here, basically. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Totally understand.
yeah.
So with that, I know you were around your dad, of him being a broker. And as time went on, you eventually got into property management. So how did the transition from what you were doing before into property management, or was there a period between?
Oh no, man!
Between those?
I got out of the Navy and I went to work for AT&T, which was Comcast. It was TCI. It was acquired by AT&T. They were acquired by Comcast or something. It was the cable company.
Right.
And I was working on we were the first broadband internet techs in California, so we were testing that whole thing. Right. And so I did that for a couple of years, then went to work for the phone company doing their DSL. And one day my manager came in and said, hey, we're going to downsize. We'll give you $25,000 in 2 weeks pay for every year that you've been here. And I'd been there 2 years, so that equated to like $30,000 for me. And I had never seen that kind of money.
Right.
And before he finished talking, I was like, yeah, I'm out. No plan, no anything, right? So I get out, and the first thing I did was I went and bought a car. I bought a Nissan Altima and had TVs put in the headrest and got some rims on it.
Why
Just
not?
the
Why not? I feel you. I feel you.
just the dumbest thing, right? So I was broke again in 6 months. so,
Gotcha.
so I
Gotcha.
needed a job, man. So
Right.
I went to go apply for leasing apartments, and I figured how hard can that be, right? I came from a real estate family, and I got into it, man, and I was just really good at it. I was a top gun and top salesman of the quarter multiple times, and just and I wasn't even trying, man. This is like 30% effort, right? Um, and I just kind of stayed into it. And then while I was in property management, I decided to become a notary. And then instead of just being a notary, I decided to start a notary business, and I would just outsource all my jobs and take a cut over everybody that I sent nationwide. So that worked out. And then around that time, I got licensed. I was a licensed realtor at the same time. Went from there, man. And then I got out of the multifamily space, leasing apartments in 2000 or in 2003, I believe, because I was doing real estate and all these things at the same time. And the real estate market tanked, man, in 2008, flat broke.
Yeah.
And I got a call from the multifamily industry. They asked me if I wanted to come back, and I was like, nah, it's gonna bounce back.
There you go.
It didn't bounce back, bro. They got
Time.
that call. They called me again in 2010, and I went in 2010. Some people, vouched for me, and I just rose up the ranks, man. So when I
Nice.
left that industry, my next promotion would have been regional vice president. So,
Nice.
uh,
Very
yeah,
nice.
and then full entrepreneur from there.
So something that you said that was kind of interesting, and you just kind of went through it with you becoming a notary and then having that notary business. There's a guy. His name is Andre Hatchett. He talks about. Are you familiar with Andre Hatchett?
No,
So basically, within the space of entrepreneurship, and if you follow like Earn Your Leisure and all these guys, usually they have on different people that are known for their particular thing. And Andre, his thing is being a notary, and I just thought it was interesting how I've never heard of somebody describing the notary, just being a notary as a business, and he would explain exactly what you said. When he first decided to be a notary, he was doing it. He was working at a job, and I forgot where it was. He made a certain amount a day, as far as like his shifts, like it was hourly. He got paid every week, but he just kind of calculated from doing one assignment, he made half of what he would have made that day. And it only took him 30 minutes to get this done, but it took him 8 hours to get double that amount. So from that point, he was like, wait, hold on. There's something here. Let me use this as a business. So for you to have that foresight of, yes, I'm doing this, but also I have this, and it turned out into a business. Did you go in with the intentions of, I'm going to be a notary to have a business? Or was it, hey, let me do this because it'll bring in extra income? But then you're like, oh, wait, hold on. There's an opportunity here.
oh man, so I was a signing agent, right? So I notarized loan documents, real estate documents, and I went to one signing. It was this attorney, and this dude read every single page. And this was like 120 pages or something like that. And I had to sit there through that, and I'm like, I'm never doing this again. My dog's over there going ham. I said, I'm never doing this again. So I just, the people that sent me, I just looked at their paperwork, right? The paperwork I had to onboard with them, and I just copied it and made my own. And then I went to the National Notary Association database, and the National Notary Association database, and I had access to every notary in the country. So I just sent them that paperwork to onboard with my company. I filed my paperwork, as a business, and I started paying them $75 to do these signings. I billed the escrow company $125.
Nice.
So it's only $50 for me, but I don't have to I can operate that whole thing from my phone.
I love it.
And
I love it.
so it was just more money and less time, man. Like,
How long were you doing that for?
I did that for about 2 years.
Got you. Why'd you stop?
I got bored, man. Like, I don't like I don't like answering my phone, and I just didn't want to worry about that stuff, man. So if I had to do it all over again today, I would have I'd put somebody else in charge of managing that process, so I could get my time back. Path of least resistance, man. I wasn't trying to do no hard work.
I feel you. And so does that also tie into, like as you were with the property management company and how you were overseeing everything, did that tie into why you eventually left as well? Or was it just mainly you just saw the cap of where you could go, and it's like you knew that there were just better opportunity for you to leave because of the potential that you have.
Yeah, I was staying. I was with a company called Alliance Residential, and it was a really good company, man. And I just really liked the people that I reported to. They were just, good people and just looking out for me. And so it was a very comfortable position. The pay was decent. I think I was when I got into the regional role, I was at about about 150 or something with bonuses. That put me at about 180, maybe 190, depending. With some other incentives, I'd probably cap out about 200, which is okay, right? Because it's decent. But my side business, man, I was doing I was doing probably $70,000 a month outside of that.
Yes.
Ranging from $50 to $70,000 a month outside of that, and I was just always looking for. And I was still a real estate professional, so I would do deals, one off here and there, and I just wanted my time. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to be anywhere at any time unless I wanted to. And what I want to do is, just like when I was a kid, man, when I got out of that house, I was doing my own thing, moving all over the place. I wanted to travel the country and, manage my own investments. And I wanted to teach people about real estate. And that's what I was passionate about. So, and just having my own operation. So I just left because it made no more sense. It was like 12% of my income by the time I left.
Gotcha.
And it was taking 50 hours a week. It just didn't make sense for me anymore. Plus we got bought out, and we weren't the new company was a big machine, and I just need something a little different. They're good people too. I just needed something different, man.
Gotcha. I feel you. Makes sense. And so now tying into Clubhouse. I remember there was a video that I saw of yours. I forgot where I saw it from. I'm not sure if it was on YouTube or Facebook or somewhere, to where you basically it showed that you had a plan to have something similar to like a mentorship, and how you were explaining how you were going to do these different things. But this was before Clubhouse came about. And so from there, how did you hear about Clubhouse, and did you make a connection that, this could actually help each other? Or was it just like a being in your purpose, and just kind of when opportunity meets, preparation is kind of went? So how did that come about?
Was I in a black suit with a red shirt?
I don't remember. I remember you were standing next to a computer, and I just remember you were standing up. I don't remember what you were wearing.
Yeah, man. You know what? I had no idea that I was going to be in this space like years ago. So I'm 45 now. So when I was 38, I went back and looked at a video that I did when I was 38, and I had no idea any of this stuff was gonna be going on. And I was talking about how I just wanted to, travel the country, teach, and all these things that I wanted to do. And then I just forgot about it. And God hears that stuff, man. And somebody asked me. See, I didn't even know what I wanted to do, man. I didn't know I wanted to be training people. I just like talking about real estate, just like you would like talking about, just like we like talking about our favorite football team or something that we like, or New Edition. Well, I start talking about New Edition concerts, but we can talk about that all night. Same way about real estate. Okay. And these things just started coming to fruition, and I didn't realize that they were happening until they were happening. I got on Clubhouse because somebody recommended it to me, and I heard some people talking about real estate, and they sounded like they were the authority on it, but the stuff that they were saying wasn't really adding up. And I just interjected, and I think people gravitate towards authenticity, and I think they could get a sense that I just like teaching people about real estate. I really don't care what people think. Nobody on there is signing my checks. And I just stayed consistent that whole time. And I don't know how many people follow me now, 20-something thousand or something like that.
Yeah, you're definitely killed out there. And as far as, I guess, speaking of writing checks, there's something that they coined the phrase of the Odis Stimmy, is what they called it. So for you guys that have never been in a room with Odis, so something that he will do sometimes, and you would say kind of is led by the Spirit. Sometimes you just hear somebody talking, you're like, you know what? I'm gonna just give you $500. I don't know why. I just feel it. I'm just gonna start giving money. And so, what brought you to start doing that? Like just hearing like, what are you hearing in people's voice? What's kind of going through your mind where you're like, you know what? I don't know why, but I'm just going to give you some money right now. What's some of the things that kind of go through your mind when that happens?
That's the Holy Spirit, man. Like, we're made up of flesh and spirit, right? And I think, our spirit can communicate whether we know it or not. And I'll just be minding my own business, man. And the Holy Spirit will say, go ahead and bless that person. And I don't know what it is specifically, because there's many times where it doesn't say anything, right? And people will be going through, hey, I can't pay my rent, I can't do this, I get nothing, right? And then somebody will just be talking about, maybe something that it is that they're trying to do or some desire they have or some of their goals. And someone will just say, bless that person. So I just learned to listen to it, man. And it brings me fulfillment. Like helping people in tough situations brings me fulfillment. And in order to do that, I got to make more money. And so that's a driving, making the money doesn't bring me fulfillment, but being able to have my time to myself and take care of people, that brings me fulfillment. So I'm always trying to make sure I'm in a position to be able to do that. And I can't do that if I'm broke, man.
I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah.
And
So yeah, and my dad used to have a bank account where he would just write checks for people that he came across that were in need.
wow.
Right, or that were going through a tough situation. No questions asked. We didn't audit. He didn't never audited somebody. And he told me one day, he said, look, it's our job to give. It ain't our job to audit. What they do with it that's between them and God, right? So yeah, that's it, man. My accountants don't really like that too much. But so I got to manage it. But yeah, man, so that's where it comes from.
So, all right. So you would say that, well, I guess that was at least a motivation factor of your dad being the type of person that he was, and him being a giving person. Would you say that is what kind of instilled that in you to be like, well, whenever I get to a certain space, I'm going to also give? Do you think about your dad when you're giving as well?
That's the interesting thing, man. I really don't. I just enjoy doing it. And even when I really didn't have it, like years ago, and James he does a lot of the business consulting component of what we do. He was telling me, and I didn't even remember this thing, and I just heard James talking one day on Clubhouse. He was like, yeah, and one thing Odis used to always do is he used to pay for people's meals, right? And I just see some folks enjoying themselves or whatever, and just for some reason I would just go cover it just made me feel good to do that. So I've always been looking for those opportunities to be able to do that stuff, and I never tried to rationalize it. I just do it when the spirit moves me, man, and I'm no saint either. I think people think you have to be a saint to kind of be in tune with that. I mean, I try to be a good person, and I try to I'm always trying to evolve into the person God wants me to be, but I'm not there yet, right? But that's a totally separate conversation. It brings me fulfillment, so I keep doing it.
Gotcha. I hear you. So, this mentorship program that you have, which I'm a part of, and I'm super appreciative of. But well, I guess I'll say this about the mentorship program. I know when I heard about it, I became a part of it. I just would hear all the information that you would give as you're on stage, and you said something that I felt was very powerful, and I think about it from time to time. And now, whenever I'm posting things on social media, I try to keep that same philosophy in mind, which is sometimes people are just one piece of information away from getting to that next level. And so for us, the biggest thing was we wanted to go from wholesaling to flipping houses, but it was okay, well, how much money do you need to start flipping? And when you start talking to people, you realize it's like on certain deals, the one that we were getting, you would need at least 50 to 60,000 to put into the property because they're only paying 60 to 70% of the purchase price. So now, you're kind of like, all right, well, I don't want to just completely empty out everything that I have and put into a property. But the information that you gave of getting that personal loan and then using that personal loan to then acquire the property and then flip it, that was a complete game changer. And it's something that it's so simple, but it's like, holy crap, now I can do this. Now with this information, we could do that. So with that strategy, where did that come from? And what made you think about that? Or was that something that was brought to you?
And I'm not reinventing the wheel, right? I think I just explain things in a way that's easily received, right? And when you start talking, and I understand in the educational space, people people want to sound really smart, right? Like I can outline a bunch of different investment strategies and I look really good and really, really smart. And I leave a lot of people confused. So they'll want to pay me for more. I just don't think that that's how things should be done. The goal is to, when you go to the doctor, you just go in there to get fixed. You ain't going there for no long medical treatment. You just go in there to get fixed.
Right.
So I just started breaking it down to where a 7-year-old can understand it, man. Real estate investing breaks down into 4 questions. What does it cost? What does it cost to fix up? What's it going to be worth when I'm done? How much income can it generate? And then you just find the financing to support whatever you decide based on those 4 questions. And I think there's this, just the world we live in, man, is just, and this is part of the reason, I know it's a little off topic, but back to Clubhouse, it's part of the reason you don't just see me in a bunch of different rooms, trying to get as many followers as possible. I don't want to be followed by 1 million people. I'd rather be followed by 10,000 of the right people, because I guarantee you, with the right people in my network, I can drag that 1 million people through the mud.
Right.
For focus and things like that. So that's always my purpose, man, to teach as many people as possible. And I'm not teaching anything. I may explain it in a way that's easier, but I'm not teaching anything that you can't Google on the internet. I think when you get into mentorship, it's tying all that stuff together. That is the magic, right?
Right.
And I use the example, you can Google how to perform heart surgery, read medical journals and all that stuff. If I put you in that operating room and give you a scalpel,
Right.
you can probably pee on yourself a little bit. Right?
Just a little bit. Gotcha.
So it's like, there's, in Clubhouse and some of these other platforms, and I get it. There's people out there that say, hey, fake it till you make it. I get that. There is a certain element of that. You have a brand, you have an image that you have to perpetuate, and I get that. But man, like, if you know God and God says that, here, I'm taking you to this mountaintop, it doesn't matter about how many followers you have. It doesn't matter how you look. It doesn't matter what you drive. It doesn't matter all that. And if you are who you say you are, you shouldn't have a scarcity mentality. Because the truth is, I always incorporate a free option to everything I do. Clubhouse, I give that time. That's the free option. When I do masterminds or workshops, I'll sponsor a couple of people to come for free. If I'm speaking at an engagement, I'll buy, maybe 20, 30 tickets for people that want to go to this engagement, right? I always leave an avenue for that person that doesn't have the resources, because I've been there too. And I didn't have money to get all these tools and go to all these masterminds and all this stuff. So I keep a balance. But these platforms, man, I swear I've never met so many gurus and trillionaires on one stage my whole life. Like, if you're not, it's okay not to be a millionaire, right? Like, this year I won't clear $1 million, right? I mean, I'll come close, but I'm not going. I'm not going to clear
do all
$1 million.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do all right. Actually, I probably won't even come within 200,000 now that I think about it. But yeah, I can live like that's my equity position is increasing, and so what? And I have friends that I just came from a friend's house for the few weekends. He's bringing in $1 million a month, something like that.
Gotcha. So what does he do? What does that friend do?
He did, well, I don't know if he want me to put his name out there, but you know Anthony Glenn. Anthony Glenn. He does winning in real estate, ex-Marine, used to train drill instructors. And, I went down there and check out his operation, and just a real good dude, man. And I'm glad I did that, because I got focused, because I can get comfortable, man. I get real comfortable, and comfort is almost like cancer. It will take you out. And by the time you realize it may be too late, right?
Right, exactly.
So I went down there and got inspired, man. This brother's neighbors is commuting to work in helicopters. I give my heart time. Just a real humble dude, man, and it's good to surround yourself around like-minded individuals. He actually took my mentorship course too, and he's got more resources than I do. He owns more property than me, so we learn things from each other, man. And again, that's why it's important to surround yourself with good people, smart people.
Gotcha. I love it. And so something that it was honor to be able to write the wholesaling ebook, the wholesaling 101, your first steps, and have it included in your mentorship program. So just to kind of give the backstory of the ebook that me and my wife wrote. I would come on Clubhouse, and when I first came on, similar to what you were saying, I would hear people just saying certain things that I'm like, I could give a little bit more detail, because I can understand how some people they'll just be very broad and vague and use some big words just to attract people to get money. But my thing was, okay, well, I know what it felt like to not know these, what I consider simple now, like, oh, where do I get a contract? What happens when you get a property under contract? Like, what happens at these certain stages? And so my thing was, okay, well, let me just get on stage and speak to who I was some years back. So that way, whenever they come into the room, like you were saying, that's that one bit of information that they needed. And now they got a battery in their back and they can move forward. So from there, my wife would say, hey, Eli, you need to write an ebook. You need to write an ebook. And I'm like, I'm not I don't write books. Like, that's not my thing. And in my mind, similar to what you were saying, my self-limiting belief was you need to be a millionaire in order to write a book. I don't know where I got that from, but I'm like, that's just what was in my mind. And so that's what kept me from ever even attempting that. She was like, no, you don't have to write a book about how to be a millionaire because you're not a millionaire. What you have to do is write a book and explain to somebody how to get their first deal, because that's what position you were in before, and that's what you need. And so you can show somebody how to get a deal. And so as I was writing the book, I remember I wrote the first draft, and my wife was like, no, you need to get, more basic than that, because from this standpoint, somebody has to know what wholesaling is in order to understand these terms. So she was like, water it down some more. So then I made it a little bit more, explain more details. And like, I had to write like 3 or 4 versions of the book until I'm like, okay, look, I can't break it down beyond like this point. Like at this point, like somebody that doesn't know what wholesaling is, they'll just be able to read the book and, have no knowledge. And then from there, they'll know how to get their first deal. And she's like, that's exactly what it should be. And that kind of was like that light bulb, like, okay, now I understand it. So from there, from us working together and you are reading the book and you loving it, what was your thought process of when you first read the book and when you first saw it, and what made you decide to include it in your program?
Well, one, man, you just operate with a certain integrity, and you can kind of feel people's energy, right, and kind of see what people are about. And I come across a lot of people, and I can tell if somebody is, just a good person, right? Like that means a lot to me if you're a good person. And then I read the book, man, and it was very detailed. And I thought, I'm focusing on beginners, right? Beginners in real estate, people wanting to get into it, people just starting out, and then elevating them up to where they don't need me anymore, right? And that book was so easy to understand that it fit right into that business model, right? And so yeah, man, I was like, yeah, okay. There were folks in my program that were asking about wholesaling. I'm not a wholesaling expert. I think I do some of the same thing as wholesalers in the beginning to get the deals, and I teach that. But I just don't want to, because I don't want to wholesale because I want to be an investor. Right? If I'm doing all the work anyway, why not just capitalize on the work, which is what the conversation that you and I had. Right. But for those people, there's a low cost barrier to entry into wholesaling. Okay. So I wanted to create that opportunity for the people that were interested in wholesaling, and that book was integral in me being able to do that. So that was it, man. And even though I wanted to turn these folks to real estate investors, again, I gave that book out to people that were, because that's also why I wanted to license it from you too, just because it was, I wanted something. Okay, I didn't know how I was going to use it when I decided to license it from you. I knew I was going to have it available for people wanting it in my program, but it wasn't until somebody that wasn't in my program wanted to, they were in a really tough situation, and I sent them the book, and they actually started doing stuff with it, right? Nice. And part of what I do is, I give, you don't have to pay me for me to pour into you. Right now, understandably, there's only so much time I have, and the people in my program and my events, they have to take priority because I get spread too thin. But that book was great to be able to hand to somebody and say, hey, do this. And, and some of those folks I never saw again. And yeah, man, so it was just, it just fit in nicely, gotcha. Right? It just fit in nicely. So I appreciate it too, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there's some other things I'm going to be working on in the future. And it came from just having conversations with different people. And though the book is about wholesaling, it does have different aspects of real estate. So it talks about marketing, it talks about evaluating deals, it talks about these different things. But I found as I was telling people about like the flips that we're doing now, and I spoke to them about the mentorship, and I told them, all these things that they were doing. I was like, okay, but how do you find the properties though? And I'm like, okay, well, I would refer them to the book, but they're like, well, I don't want to know how to wholesale. I just want to know how to find the properties. And so I'm considering maybe even doing a separate book that's strictly how to find the properties, because I feel like people that don't want to wholesale, but they just want to go into flipping, or they want to find the off market stuff, they're hesitant on reading the full process of wholesaling because they just want the first X amount of chapters, even though it doesn't go over every list that I go over. But I'm thinking about doing something that's a lot more detailed on all the different lists and possibilities that they could do, and just getting detailed on that. But that's, I guess that's the first time I'm saying that publicly. So that is gonna happen, and we'll once it materializes, then people will know about it.
Well, let me know, because I'm gonna license that one from you too.
Awesome, appreciate it. So the mentorship program, again, I feel like it's something that has really changed things for me and my wife, and we are able to get much larger checks for the transactions that we're doing. So and my operation, what we're doing is like seven to 8,000 was the average for our assignment fees. Of course, it'll be larger sometimes smaller, but that's like around the average that it would be. And so I was looking at the different houses that we flip, and just to kind of talk about the last two, if we would have assigned those two, it would have been 14,000 for those two deals. But on the first deal, we made about 25,000, and on this one that we're about to sell, we're about to make I think it was like 53,000 on that one. And so it was just like every time I look at this stuff, and I'm like, there was a moment to where I was almost afraid to invest in the mentorship, because I'm like, that's a lot of money to be, spending at once. But I remember, and this is, and I never said this publicly either, there was a Grant Cardone course, and this was only like $300, but it was like $300 every quarter or whatever. But I only did the first $300, and I've never spent that much on learning something. So to me, I was just like, I remember I was looking at the checkout, and it was like $300, and I'm just like, I don't know if I'm gonna like, and I'm like pacing up and down like the room. I'm looking at the checkout a lot. I'm like, is this like, am I really gonna spend $300 on that? But if you talk about spending $300 on some shoes, I'm like, oh, those are nice shoes. I gotta have these shoes. I gotta have this watch. But I'm like, hey, $300. Am I actually gonna learn what I need to learn? Am I gonna get my money back? So once I remember I purchased that course, and one, it was great information. It was a lot of stuff in this thing, and there was no way I was going to be able to consume everything in like 3 months. So that's why it was a get this, pay every quarter, because there's just course on top of course on top of course to go through. And I learned some great things, but I had it maybe for that first 3 months, and then I canceled it. But I remember I called my wife after I paid for it, and I was on the phone with her, and I told her, hey, I just spent $300 on a course. She was like, you spent how much? I'm like, yeah, $300. She's like, wait, what course is this? Like, what is this? I'm like, yeah, it's the Grant Cardone course, and it's this and that. And I just remember her just being like, okay, well, look, if you believe that you're going to learn from this, and $300 is not a big investment if you're able to apply the information and get more. So, just basically, go for it, but make sure you didn't just spend $300 to not do anything with it. Just make sure you're actually learning from it. And I just remember, for whatever reason, I just started crying on the phone. And I was like, it was some type of mental, I think, barrier that I had on my value towards education. And that day is when I feel like I kind of had some type of a breakthrough of, okay, I'm at a certain position, and I've never been above this spot, but I know that there's other people that have different programs that I could learn. So another example of this was, and I spoke about her in the book. Her name is Jennifer West Granhan. I remember she had a mentorship program for wholesaling. This is before I got a full wholesale deal. I remember I would see her on YouTube all the time, but then I was frustrated because I'm like, I'm doing all this work, I can't get a deal. But then she had a mentorship. I signed up. I did like a discovery call with her, and it was like 100 and something, I think it was. And at the time, never spent 100 and something on a course. So I'm like, you know what? I have been trying for years to figure this out. Let me go ahead and spend this 100 something. So I went through her course, and after some time, and I ended up quitting my job because I had like good amount of money saved. And I'm like, in order to really do wholesaling the way I really need to do it, I need to leave my job. So I left my job, and within a month and a half of using her systems and my wife being supportive of me, after a month and a half, I got my first deal because I invested in a course. And so ever since then, it was like, I know the value of learning, but then it was like, well, how much are you willing to spend? So then that 300 was that next barrier of, okay, well, you want to learn, how much you want to spend. And then when it came to the course, your mentorship, it was like, okay, we want to learn how to flip. And these assignments are great, but we're living, assignment to assignment, check after check. And because yes, you get that 7,000, but then you got to put the money back into marketing and let it grow. And so from there, it was like, okay, well, we were kind of talking about it, and my wife was like, "Oh, how much is it? Oh yeah, we need to do this right now." And I'm like, "Oh, so okay, so it's like, so we're doing it." He's like, "Oh yeah, let's do it." So then we was a part of the mentorship, and then from there, we knew how to find the properties, and we were gonna assign it, but then we saw like, wait, hold on, we're a part of a mentorship program. This could be our first one. Let's not sell this, and if we have questions, we have Odis to ask. And so that was a huge point for us. So I say all that to say, I am a part of the mentorship program, and this isn't just a thing of, hey, pay me and I'm going to boost your course. I'm actually, a part of the course, and I'm speaking about this because it has been a huge game changer for us, and I'm excited for what it's going to do for other folks. But talk a little bit about the course, what brought it, the mentorship, what brought it about, what was the idea behind it, and the different tiers. Like, just kind of break that down.
Yeah, man, I wanted to create 1,000 real estate investors, and I wanted to have a program because that shows up differently for everybody, right? Some people have more money than others. Some people have more time than others. Some people have a little experience. And I wanted to create a structured curriculum to just kind of give the basics, the overview. But I also wanted to have a platform that, okay, because if you're like me, man, by the time I get to the end, I already forgot what I learned in the beginning, right? Like, I have a very short attention span. So I wanted to create a platform where once you finish the structured curriculum, there's an ongoing curriculum, like, and it's Q&A, right? It's interactive. So it's our weekly roundups that we do every week. This is after the curriculum. And then I want to hold your hand through your first deal. Right. So the goal is no one is out there having to try to remember what they learned and make a decision with no one to be able to reach out to. So we call it a real estate family, man. Everybody has my real estate. Everybody has my cell phone number. They can shoot me a text, so we can service more people. I've brought in some other team members to deal in things like tax planning and asset protection and in corporate structure and all those things. So now we've grown to where, we've aligned with people so we can service everything. And once you're in, you're in. Like, it's never like right now we're doing a group project where there's about 10 or 11 of us. They've been asking me, hey, let's go in, let's just go buy something. Let's just go do something, right? So we're doing a group project, man, and we're about to go buy an apartment building, and it's going to be a learning process. Everybody's going to have roles. It's going to be, it's just going to be a step by step. Everybody's going to be involved, and then we'll continue to do bigger ones. Because me, man, I don't partner with anybody unless I've trained them. Right now, I know that these folks operate with integrity. They know how I operate, so it's going to be a much smoother situation. But the goal is to create something where you have zero knowledge, you gain knowledge, you go through the overviews, the curriculum, you do your own deals, right? I'm holding your hand through the whole process. Then you do more deals, and the goal is to make it so you don't need me anymore. Then once you get to that point, now maybe we can just partner up in something. Um, and there's a certain energy that I maintain, man. Like they all know I'm not chasing any money. I mean, I've given away more money than the average person
The
makes.
Otis Stimmy.
The oldest stimmy, right? So it's not about the money. It's about the relationships, and it's about, just finding that fulfillment and being able to build something with like-minded individuals, man. I just think it's super cool. So, and it's not cheap, right? Like, I mean, I think you were one of my first groups. I think you were in the first groups that
Right.
went through, and it's gotten a lot more. It's gotten more expensive since, and we've expanded. And now we're traveling the country and doing masterminds and workshops and all these other things, man. So, it goes back to that. Somebody asked me one time, they said, okay, well, and this is when I was in corporate America, they said, well, if you could do anything you want, what would you be doing? And I said, man, I just want to travel the country and talk about real estate. All right. And I had no idea this is before Clubhouse. This is before all that stuff.
Right.
And then come to find out, man, these opportunities just fell in my lap. And we're doing a development project in Africa, development project in Kansas City. Like, I was in Africa meeting all types of officials and ministers of this and that and generals and all that. But I had I would have never thought I was going to be there in a million years, right?
So speak about that Africa project, because that's. I remember seeing the pictures. I remember seeing you out there, and I knew it was something real estate related. So how did that come about? And if you could talk about the project at all, what can you say about what you're working on?
Yeah, we're really trying to put the project together, right? So we're going through the preliminary stages, locating financing and all the logistical stuff. We've got the backing of the government, and I don't know if I may be saying too much, but there's a woman by the name of Odis James who's actually in my program, and I hate the word program. She's in our real estate family.
There you go.
She was talking about what was going on over there. So, we just planned a trip out there. And man, I had no idea how well connected her and her associates were. Like, they're connected all the way to the top, right? So we went to Senegal, we went to Gambia, and there's multiple projects out there that are on the table. So we're just going over the logistics right now and seeing which one we can bring to fruition and how. It was life-changing, man. It changed my life going over there. I came across an organization called the Starfish Organization, a nonprofit, where you got these young people mentoring adolescents and kids in the community. And so we went to visit there, man, and these kids just almost had me in tears, man. It's just, they're making such a huge impact on the world. And they have a saying called, do what you can where you are with what you have, right? And it was just, I was able to see that, look, it doesn't matter how much we have, we're going to do something regardless. Western culture, I ain't got it right now, so I ain't going to do it. I ain't got it.
Right.
So, yeah, man, it was just a life-changing situation, man. And I made a commitment to sponsor those kids over there. And, I made it clear, I hope I was clear enough that they should never turn a kid away. I'll go ahead and cover what it costs to be in that program for any of those kids in that community, man. And
very nice.
It's dope. It's a dope situation, man. Life is good, man. I got to be honest with you.
There you go. I love it. So for someone to be a part of that program of maybe what you think it says, it's called Star Child or something like that. What was it called?
A starfish.
A starfish. So
Yeah.
Is there like a website that people can go to for Starfish for that if they want to help out?
They do, man. And I don't have it available right now. I'm communicating with them directly, and I had them on Clubhouse, and they posted the link to their website, and people were donating, and it was really, really cool. But I'm going to put their on my 10K card at otisnk.com. I'm going to put that on my card, and it's going to be a link to their nonprofit. So
gotcha. So I'll do that. I'll put a link at the bottom of the screen here, so people can. I guess it's best to just go to the otisnk.com, and then you'll just have it there. Okay. Yeah. So I'll do that. So as far as your mentorship, you're going to talk about like the different tiers and what they include, and how can they get in contact if they want to go to that mentorship.
So that's on my 10K card too, but you can just go to my website at otisjames.com, right? See, I think it's otisjames.com. And, and I encourage people to kind of reach out first. All my email address and everything is in my 10K card. Reach out first before you just swipe your credit card. I ran into some people that, people get excited when they start understanding this real estate, and when we're in some of these spaces like Clubhouse, and they want to go to the website and just swipe $10,000 on their credit card. And I know it's not the best business practice to steer people away from doing that. Like, I appreciate the vote of confidence, but I ran across some people that didn't need all that. Like, they just needed to fill in some knowledge gaps. So we were able to put them down into a lower tier, right? And they range 3,000, 5,000, 7,500, 10,000. Gotcha. 3,000, you're getting the group sessions, you're getting the curriculum, and you still get the weekly roundups every single Monday at 5:30 California time. And I'm still holding your hand through these projects that you're going to be doing. 5,000, you get one-on-one coaching with that. At the $7,500 level, now we're getting into the multifamily commercial stuff. So there's a separate curriculum for those folks. And the 10,000 is everything in the previous ones, but now we're getting into your corporate structure, and we're actually going to set it up for you. So that information's on our website. And events, we do events. We don't do. I guess the events sometimes act as sales funnels, but we give people enough information to where they can just walk away and generate some income. That's the goal. So my events are on the website too, and yeah, man, it's and we've been fortunate to have some great people in the program. Like, there's no one in the program where I'm like, oh, I got to work with this person,
right. Gotcha.
So I think we attract what we are, right? And I think operating in transparency, good faith. We put our values first, man. We make it about the people, not about the transaction. And we encourage the people in our real estate family, when they're doing deals and talking to distressed sellers, to make it about the person and not about the transaction, right? One of the things we teach is, look, if you find somebody that lost their job, ask them how much food they have in the refrigerator, right? And all those small things, right? Because people don't understand, there's some income that doesn't always show up on a spreadsheet, right? Every time I give, just remarkably, some opportunity lands in my lap right after that, right? I'm not telling people what to believe, but I believe Jesus Christ is putting those opportunities, right? He said he would. Right. And so we put our values first, man. And we don't chase money, we chase fulfillment, experiences, and being able to sleep at night. So
there you go.
That's it in a nutshell.
I love it. And with your masterminds, so I'm used to the information that you provide. I've been in many of your rooms. I go to some of the roundups. I'm in the multifamily level of your mentorship. But this mastermind that you have, to where you're traveling across the country with, you got James Lewis, you got Dimitri, and you have, is it Jason?
Jason Smith, yeah.
Jason Smith. So just listening to all the different perspectives that they have, my wife and I got so much information from just seeing that additional information as far as like corporate structures and Pearson, corporate veils and different life insurance policies that you can use for tax shelters. And I'm going to also be having them on the podcast, and they'll go deep into those. But I felt like that was a great introduction to, okay, first you, and correct me if I'm wrong on like the psychology of all this. First, you make your money from real estate, from what you're showing. So whether it's wholesaling, flipping, buying whole, multifamily, whatever. And then from there, you build it up to where you are eventually you probably need your corporate structures first. Corporate structures, real estate. And then as you start making more money, you want to make sure you're protecting yourself from additional taxes, which is why you need different investment vehicles or insurance vehicles to basically shelter yourself. Or how would you say the psychology and the piecing of all y'all coming together is? What makes it all work?
Well, I didn't want to have to send anybody somewhere else. So my advisors and my tax attorneys and all those guys are in the company. I've already paid them, right? And Jason and his team, Tom is, I believe, the principal, but Jason, that team, I knew some people in their team from years and years ago, and I knew that those are good people, and they're more boutique, and they believe in me just as much as I believe in them, and they see where this thing is going to go, and so they're flying out with us to be able to do these masterminds. And look, I tell people, you're going to be wealthy. If you don't believe it, I can't believe it for you. So be prepared to be wealthy. Okay. If you're not going to be wealthy, make it because you don't want to. right? Some people say, well, money's not everything. Well, that's true until you don't have it. Okay. What's the most important thing to you? My kids. Okay. Would you sit and watch them starve to death? Right. You can spend all the time with them. You can starve to death together. Right. So
Right.
I encourage people. It's like, look, we weren't put here to be begging. We weren't put here to be asking, walking into rooms with our head down. No, let's get this money, okay, and then do with it what you wish. You can either make the world a better place or you can allow it to destroy you. Either way, you need to make sure that you are protected, right? If you're going to do the right thing. I look for three things: tax favor, liability protection, anonymity. I look for those three things. And I need to know how to structure that correctly or have the people on my team that know how to do that. And we offer those services to everyone else. So
Awesome.
that was my thought process.
Gotcha. I love it. I love it. So now at this point of the podcast, we start talking about the three books that you would recommend. You can say a few more, but three of the top books that you would recommend for someone who is interested in real estate investing or just overall entrepreneurship or mindset books. What are the three that you would recommend for that?
Oh man, Rich Dad Poor Dad, I think is the go-to for everybody, right? It's just easy to receive. The Richest Man in Babylon was a good one for me too. It really gives you, the theory around, compound interest, right? Like just how that the mindset, the investing mindset. And I think another one, man, I would say, hate to sound cliche, man, but I got to say that good book, the Bible, whether you believe in it or not, it gives you a perspective to conquer any obstacle that you can, right? And I wouldn't be here without it. Again, I'm no saint, but it is what it is. I can't unsee or unexperience the things that I have with respect to that relationship with God. So, that's got to be my three. I got a bunch of them too, man. Like, what do you? Shoot, and I do audiobooks, right? I do audiobooks when I'm in traffic. I encourage people. I was about to go through my whole book playlist for you, but you probably got the time.
Sound good.
Also, the Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership is a really good one. Just about anything, but I can't remember. Tony Robbins, just about anything from Tony Robbins is good, man. There's a whole bunch. What's the guy that's a motivational speaker? The
Eric Thomas?
No, he wrote 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Let me just. It is Never Split the Difference. Okay, Atomic Habits. Robert Allen's Nothing Down. I'm just going to give you my whole list, right? Outwitting the Devil. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. The Philosophy for Successful Living. Jim Rohn is a good one. John Maxwell. That's who it is. The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership was completely eye-opening to me. Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Expected People. He talks about, having the right attitude, setting goals, having a way to measure them, discipline and consistency. That's the formula for success, right? I think we all talk about those things in just different words. And I got a bunch of other ones in there, man. I think I'll post them on my my 10K card or something.
Gotcha. Awesome. And so when it comes to first steps, if somebody wants to become a real estate investor, what would you say are some first steps that they should take before they do anything? Do these first steps first.
I would say write down 4 questions and find the answers to those 4 questions, right? What does something cost, or what am I willing to pay? What's it going to cost me to improve it or fix it up? What's it going to be worth when I'm done? How much income can it generate? Once they can find the answers to those 4 questions, they're ready to put in an offer on something. And now you just bring in the financing to be able to support what it is you're trying to do.
Gotcha.
That's what I tell everybody, start there. Okay.
Awesome.
And do something, right? Like do something. You can sit and, I know there's limiting beliefs, and I know we're all afraid to ask a dumb question or what sounds like a dumb question. Mm-hmm. The people that are most successful are the people that take action. And the people in my position that see people taking action in spite of what they don't know, those are the people that I want to help the most. So, yeah, just do something. Answer them 4 questions and do something with it.
There you go. Awesome. And so now we go to the lightning round. So I'm going to ask you 3 random questions, and then you just come with whatever comes in mind. So, one, your favorite movie.
Oh, my favorite movie is Tombstone.
Tombstone. All right, well,
Yeah.
who's the main character in that?
With Kurt Russell and Doc Holliday and
Gotcha.
Val Kilmer.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Cowboy.
Gotcha. All right, and the best meal that you cook.
Oh man, vegan spaghetti.
Vegan? Are you vegan?
I'm not, but I'm going
Okay.
plant based just to get in better shape.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
Vegan
that's
spaghetti.
it.
What is the spaghetti if it's vegan? What's in it?
So it's plant based. It's all the vegetables and spices and things, but you're using plant based meat and you're using vegetable pasta, which tastes the same as regular pasta.
Gotcha. Okay. Is it like zucchini or something?
No, it tastes like pop. Like I can't tell the difference.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. All right. And now I have a would you rather. So it's a this or that. So would you rather be able to just straight up be able to breathe underwater, or would you want the ability to swim 30 miles an hour?
Oh, breathe underwater all day.
Gosh, that was easy for you?
Yeah,
I tried to make that one hard.
swim 30 miles an hour. What you gonna do? Like you can still get stranded out there.
Yeah.
I'll swim slow and just kind of go chill with the sharks and fish and all that.
Gotcha.
If I gotta get away from somebody, I'm gonna go deep rather than go far because the gun can
Gotcha.
shoot 30 miles an hour.
Very nice. Okay, that's an interesting answer. So, lastly, if you want to leave everybody with some words of wisdom before they, go off into their real estate journey, what are some words of wisdom that you'll give them?
I would say move forward, not because of how you feel, but in spite of how you feel.
Boom.
Yeah.
There you go. Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for coming onto this podcast. Took some great notes, and it's always a pleasure speaking with you. And every time we hear you speak, you always leave us with something. So thank you so much for coming on this podcast.
Right on, man. I appreciate you.
All right, awesome. All right.
Thank you for listening to the Your First Steps podcast. Let us know what you thought about this episode by leaving a review. And don't forget to subscribe.